Hello, everyone. I was going to write a blog post about this, but I remembered it's much easier just to record. So I'll just go over it. Plus, it's more visual, it'll be more fun. I watched the Banshees of Inisherin last night. Thought it was amazing. Thought I was too much like the Gleason character. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get it here into Subtxt for everybody. And you can see I'm building it right now. So I already have the Storyform in there that's going through and building it. But what I wanted to show is my thinking behind it. So hopefully that'll help you when you're trying to figure out your own. But first, the thing that stood out the most was, of course, Colin Farrell's character, his personal issues, mindset, because he's always happy all the time, always joyful. He's just nice. And then, of course, Brendan Gleeson's character is in universe because his challenge is thinking about the future. Nobody's going to remember me down the road, that kind of stuff. And I wasn't too sure about these two because I felt like the growth of the story was more start, which would be this alignment, as opposed to putting the objective story here in psychology. But so what was interesting was then going down here to what the actual character element is. So this is the default element here where the drive of the main character is avoid. That's their problem. To me, the thing that was like really super clear is that it was all driven by logic, and logic meaning this idea that being childish about things or finding simple childlike connections, like you should be nice. That's what drives him. And it's also what's driving all the problems in the objective story. And so having that there, and then you come down here and look at the arcs, you can see that he goes from being childlike to feeling, where he's just angry and he's just doing everything from a place of anger, which is exactly where he ends up. And then here it has Gleason's character being driven by faith, meaning that he believes something, which is okay, because it could be that has faith or belief that this is how life is supposed to be. But if I go ahead and switch the objective story out of physics, so it's less about the physical things, and put it in psychology, so it's more about the way people are thinking, then that puts their relationship in physics, which is all the finger stuff. And then going down here now, he's going to be driven by control, which is great because that means he's just trying to take control of his life. And then you have the premise over here. So what I have now is I have it generate the premise. It takes the character element and the plot elements. It's changing a group. I was thinking something about, I guess, becoming more dysfunctional or just maturing, becoming less mature, becoming more mature, maturing into something. So even if I just did train into something different, because I don't know if it's better. Now, too, I have this where it'll actually look it up. It used to be where I personally had to go through and approve all these, but now I can just have it do it for you automatically. It says maturing into something different is an example of becoming. It is a process of growth and transformation that can be applied to many different situations. It is a positive and constructive way of looking at change and growth. So that's perfect. It's not very positive in the movie, which I'll get to in a second. So I'll just take that, maturing into something different. And then when I have it generate the premise, so this is what the story would actually be about. I messed up on the first one. When you stop being so quick to judge things and move forward, you can get to a place where, no, that's not even the right. You stop trying so hard. Okay, interesting. So the first two were not even close to being the right premise. This one's right. When you stop trying so hard and start letting go of childish tendencies, you can represent something new and different. So that's a little closer to what the story is about. It's a little bit, you can get the meaning of that if you look at the story as a whole, which is what you'd want to do here when you're building out a story form, is what's the meaning of the story. Let me see if I can try a different one. If you're willing to stop beyond bearing, so this is a weird thing, but I can figure out that, and abandon being childish about things, you can grow and change dramatically. That's a little bit better. Try this one. When you stop letting go of your need to be young, you may start to grow into a different and wiser version of yourself. Okay, that one's actually particularly good, and I will save that. It's not really how it ends. It's not the same sort of feeling that you grow into a different and wiser version of yourself. That's not exactly the feeling that's there at the end of the story. And the reason for that is because right here, I have right now this question: what kind of ending does this actual dilemma story have? So it's an actual dilemma story, meaning there's a dilemma in it, and it turns out it was actually something that needed to be changed or reversed because he takes matters into his own hands and does what he does at the end. And I'm talking, of course, about the Colin Farrell character. But you'll see here right now it's engineered for a triumph story. So this is doing the default Hollywood bestseller, success good, and everybody gets what they want and everything turns out great and everybody's in a better place. That's not really how the film, that's not the story of the film or how it turns out. It's actually much more bleak in that there is success, meaning if Gleason's character is the one driving everything from an objective standpoint where he wants to break up and change and just be left alone, that's a success. His sister moves away. So it's a success, but it's a bad success. It's very bleak. And so what happens is when you change, that actually changes the meaning of the premise here. And what it should do is make this so it's a little more darker, a little more bleaker. So let's see what it does. No matter how hard things seem, if you're willing to let go of being careless and instead focus on something different, you can grow and learn new skills. That's not even close. Even though things may seem difficult, when you stop being babyish and stop trying to do things too quickly, you can grow into something new. That's a little closer to it. And you can see it has a different emotional feel to it. I would prefer, I'm still working on tuning these premises to be like really exactly what they should be. Obviously, I know how all the story forms work. In my head, I can tell that this is just a little bit off. So let me see if there's something a little bit better. While the outlook may be gloomy, if one put a past before mindful self-care, eventually develop into a more nuanced and natural being. That's interesting. I don't think that's right. Even when things seem difficult, if you're willing to let go of being carried away by your own decisions and instead focus on what's important, you can change and grow. It's a little closer. Let's see. If you keep adjusting to life and don't, no, that one's right. This one's totally wrong. Even when things seem tough, don't forget to be likable and come up with new ideas. That way you can grow. So it has a tendency, the reason why there's all these mistakes that are coming up is that the current level of artificial intelligence wants everything to be happy, just like a really good Hollywood executive. They want everything to work out great. So what I'm doing here is I'm fighting against the most probable way of this all turning out, which is to be everything works out all nice and happy. And I'm trying to teach it that not everything works out great and that you can actually write a story about that. Even when things seem hard, when you let go of being too old fashioned and replace it with wanting to be different, you can grow and change. That's a little bit closer to the meaning of it. So the idea is that even though things will be bleak, when you get rid of this childlike stuff and move into your feelings, then you mature into something different. Whether or not that's good or bad is totally up to you. So let me try one more time. All right. It's getting a little bit smarter. So as it goes along, there's stuff in there to make it smarter. Eventually I will teach it because this tends to be more my kind of storytelling that I actually like, which is the success bad story. So I'm particularly given to wanting to make sure this all works out. So even if things seem bad, if you're willing to let go of your childness and learn to be different, you can grow and change. It's not even if things seem bad, it's even if it turns out bad for you, you can grow and change. And not all growth has to be positive. So anyways, I just wanted to do that. And then of course, once you would have all this, you would build the story, but that is what I had already set off. And you can only build one at a time here. So I think probably still chugging all the way. Oh, it's complete. That was a lot quicker than I thought. Let's see. It's a lot quicker, actually. You can see here, when I'm trying to let go of these mistakes, you can take control of your life. This actually rewrote it. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the one that I had done before when I'd sent it off to be rendered. And this one I thought was great, which is why I got excited enough to do the recording, but I didn't know it was going to mess up. No matter how hard things may seem, when you stop trying to find the perfect childlike connections and let go of these mistakes, you can take control of your life, which I thought was perfect because it brought into play the drive of the obstacle character, of the Gleason character. And then right here, you have the entire story form. So what it did is it takes this and some of those other dynamics that are here, that it's about achieving a goal, that it's about adjusting, changing your life, and that the ending is bleak. And then so once you plug these together, puts everything together and comes up with this story form, which is a schematic or blueprint of your entire story. So this is the entire story from beginning to end in the 4 through lines. So you have the objective story through line here with the issue of obligation, like he's your friend, you should be nice. This is fantastic for Colin Farrell's character, his issue of hope. because he's just very optimistic. And then Brendan Gleeson's character is the delay. Why put off? Why should I waste my time with you when there's all these wonderful things that I could be doing with my life? And then their relationship, just the attitude, which is the idea that there is the drive of support beneath is the condition for their relationship. They're friends, right? That's why they're friends and why there is conflict in there, because we were supportive. We're here. Why aren't we supporting each other? And then at the end, it turns where they both reject each other and they come to this understanding at the end, right? Like in the beginning, like, hey, this is what we always do. Then they break up, each goes their separate ways. Then about 75% into the story, learning exactly what they're capable of on either side. And then, of course, that understanding at the end. So this is, and then the argument would be Colin Farrell's character in logic and Gleason's in feeling, because he has that despair that the priest gets out of him. So anyways, I just wanted to show you what that was all about and how I was able to get the story form for the Banshees of Inisherin. I hope it helps you figure out the story form for your story, and I will see you next time.